Hello friends, welcome to Department of Plant Pathology, KDSP Agriculture College Nasik. In earlier lecture, we have seen kernel point of wheat, its causal organism, its disease cycle and its management. Now, in this lecture, we are going to see the leaf blight of wheat and Tundu disease of wheat. Leaf blight of wheat caused due to Alternaria triticina, and it is reported by Prasad and Prabhu in 1962 from India. It is most prevalent in parts of Maharashtra, Bihar, West Bengal and Uttar Pradesh. Seedlings are not prone to infection, but later stages of crop growing stages, that is later stages of crop growth were susceptible to infection of this Alternaria triticina. You can see the symptoms of this disease in images. On the right side, the reddish brown oval spots appear on 7 to 8 days old crop with bright yellow margin. This is the particular mark of identification. That is, the yellow halo were produced after the infection of this Alternaria triticina. In severe cases, several spots coalesce to cause drying of leaves. The young leaves are not usually infected. Heavily infected fields display a burnt appearance. Even from a distance, we can see and we can easily identify there is the blighted appearance or burnt appearance of this disease. In some varieties, reduction in grain yield is as high as 90% of if the infection takes place at or before the boot lift stage. That means 90% reduction in the yield can happen after the infection of this disease at the time of boot lift stage. This pathogen, it is one of the fungal pathogen, and it produces light brown colored multicellular conidia with 1 to 10 transverse septa and 1 to 5 longitudinal septa, singly or in the chain. This is the particular marks of identification for identifying this Alternaria blight. You can see on the right side of bottom there is the transverse and longitudinal septa inside the spores. These are the microscopic pictures of these Alternaria spores. This pathogen overwinters or over summers in plant debris inside the soil. The primary source of infection is by externally and internally seed-borne conidia, and secondary source of infection is always through wind-borne conidia. The temperature range, that is 25 degrees Celsius, is high and high relative humidity were most favorable for development of this disease. Now, for managing such leaf blight disease, we have to use seed treatment that we have mentioned in loose mud of wheat and kernel burnt of wheat, that is soaking the seeds for 4 hours in cold water. After that, dipping the seeds in 52 degrees Celsius temperature water for 10 to 11 minutes, which helps to control initial inoculum. Similarly, we can grow resistant varieties like CO25, Sonalika, Arnautaka, E6160 and K7340. Similarly, we can also control this disease as an eradicative method. We can use the fungicides like mancozeb, propiconazole, hexaconazole or carbendazim at a rate of 2 grams per liter in the spraying, so that we can control this disease after the emergence also. The next most important disease of wheat is Tundu disease, or it is also known as yellow slime disease. It is the bacterial disease, and one nematode is also responsible, that is Angina tritici, which is nematode, and Corynebacterium tritici or Clavibacter tritici, which is bacteria. These two are required for infection of this Tundu disease. The first report of this Tundu disease is given by Hutchinson in 1917 from Punjab in India. Here you can see the symptoms of this Tundu disease. The major characters of this Tundu is twisting of stem, distortion of earheads, and rotting of spikelets, with a profuse oozing of yellow liquid from the affected tissues. The ooze contains mass of bacterial cells. These are some major marks of identification for this Tundu disease. In that, twisting and distortion of earheads caused due to the nematodes, and profuse oozing is caused due to the infection of these bacteria, Rathebacter tritici or Clavibacter tritici or Corynebacter tritici. The nematode alone causing crinkling, twisting and various other distortion of leaves, stem and produce small round galls on leaves. The infected plants are shorter and thicker than the healthy plant. This is one of the another marks of identification that the Tundu disease infected seeds are much more shorter and thicker than the healthy or normal ones. In the distorted earheads, dark galls are found in place of kernels. That means when you can see in image that is in the right side of bottom, there is the kernels which are infected due to this Tundu disease, and kernels were replaced by galls which were formed by this Angina tritici. The bacterium is associated with the nematode. The disease symptoms are intensified at the flowering stage, and yellow ear rot sets in due to combined action of nematode and bacterium. That's why it is also called as yellow ear rot of wheat. The earhead becomes chaffy and the kernels are replaced by dark nematode galls, which also contains the bacterial cells or the bacterium. The infected plant produce more tillers than the healthy ones. That means more number of tillers were produced after the infection by this Tundu disease. Another interesting feature is the early emergence of ears in the nematodes. That means the nematode infection, that means Tundu infected seedlings or crop have early emergence of earheads as compared to the normal ones. That means 30 to 40 days earlier than the healthy ones. This is one of the another marks of identification of this Tundu disease. This disease starts from the seed contaminated with nematode galls. When such contaminated seeds are sown in the field, they absorb moisture from the soil, and the larvae, that means the juvenile stages of this nematode, escapes from the galls and climb upon the yellow wheat plants. So there is a climbing of this nematode juveniles from lower region to the upper region. At the time of flowering, these nematodes enter into the floral parts and form galls inside the ovaries. You can see the infection of this nematode at the time of flowering stage. That means those nematodes enter into the floral parts and they forms galls inside the ovaries, so that all the ovaries are infected due to this nematode. Once the nematode which is enter inside the tissues or the ovaries, the bacterium become active and causes rotting. So there is the combined action of this nematode as well as this bacterium. Means nematode enters into the ovary and bacterium becomes active after the entering of nematode inside the ovaries. So the bacterium causes rotting and nematode causes galls and replace the earheads. The yellow ooze coming out of the rotting earheads provide the inoculum for secondary spread of the disease, which is favored by wind or the moisture or the rainfall or the rain droplets. This is one of the associative disease in that both nematode and the bacterium are actually involved in the process of infection. The nematode probably functions as a vector for transporting this bacteria from infected portion to the healthy portion. The nematode secretes some substances in the presence of the host bacterium, which can remain viable for at least 5 years in the galls of Angina tritici. The nematode galls are reported to remain in the soil for 20 years or more than 20 years, and the bacterium can also survive for the same period inside the nematode galls. So you can judge the severity of this disease. So we have to use disease-free seeds for controlling such diseases. The most important point for management of this disease is use of gall-free seeds. That means the galls which are containing the galls which are containing bacterial cell. Such galls infected seeds should be avoided for sowing. Separate such galls from the seed by using the brine solution treatment. Add 160 gram of sodium chloride in the liter of water, which can help to easily separate such galls infected seed from the healthy seed. Similarly, wheat, barley or oat should not be sown in the infested soil. So there is the presence of primary inoculum of this bacterium and this nematode galls. So we have to avoid sowing of wheat, barley or oat on the same field. Similarly, after emergence of this disease, we can also control this disease by spraying with streptocycline. It is the antibiotic which can help to control this Clavibacter disease at later stage in the spray at the rate 1 gram in 10 liters of water. Thanks for watching this video. In next lecture, we will see the diseases of sugarcane and their management. Thank you.